Hey guys, John here and Charlie's here with me as well. And we're going to be doing our Movie Lovers Rewind. This is our feeling old segment of the page. So if you feel like that you're getting old, you probably are just by watching this right now. Because we're going to be talking about the films that are turning 10 and 20 years old, but we're focusing on one film in particular tonight, and that is Panic Room. This movie came out 20 years ago, and like I said, this is going to be part of our Movie Lovers Rewind, so let's get on with the show.
That's
All
so
right.
that's so cool.
Like I said, it's a perfect way of actually rewinding a film, and then all of a sudden you see us. So there you go. So, anyways, like I said, this movie came out in 2002. This movie turned 20 years old, and that movie is none other than Panic Room. This movie starred Judy Foster and also started the career of Kristen Stewart. Everybody thought at that time that Kristen Stewart was going to blow up into this big, huge actress, and she happened to actually do that with the Twilight movies. Yes, the Twilight movies may not be for everyone, but when you look at the acting ability that she did coming out on top with this movie, I thought that she did a really good job of playing the daughter with Jodie Foster and everything, and also making it believable that she was actually a diabetic going on insulin and everything too. So I thought she did a very good job about that. Also, too, Jared Leto's in this movie. He's not playing a character chore of another character or anything like that. He's not doing some weird impression that we saw with the House of Gucci. Is like it's like that weird Mario impression that he was doing, and even with that other TV series that's on Apple TV right now. But I remember when this movie came out, and this movie was not on my radar 20 years ago. I was into other stuff 20 years ago. I was still like 18 or 19 at the time, but I did get to see it maybe 3 maybe 4 years later, and then after that, it kind of pixelated out of my head, and then I decided, you know what, let me go in there and rewatch this again, and the acting is still there. And I also like the direction. The camera angles to me were fantastic. Um, but there was a little bit of the CGI moment with the propane tank that I felt like was maybe a little bit out of place. But that was just me thinking that, because of when Jared Leto goes into the listens into the wall, and then of course you see Jodie Foster doing something sneaky, and then that's of course when the propane tank winds up exploding and causing it to go over the panic room and into the other room, and then of course that's when Jared Leto accidentally gets burned. But I like the concept of a one room scenario of a survivor, and also too, I think that they gave Jodie Foster a lot to do, Kristen Stewart a lot to do in this film. I thought they did a good job. Forrest Whitaker's in this movie as well, so it was perfectly well casted. Nobody was really phoning it in with this movie. They knew exactly what it was. I also like the fact that they actually go into detail with the whole panic room idea. But still, just remembering what Panic Room was at that time, it was something great. And yes, I definitely have to agree with Dion over here. He says it's an amazing cat and mouse movie. Definitely an amazing cat and mouse movie, back and forth between the villains and of course the heroes of this film. But what did you think, Charlie? I'm rambling a little bit.
No, you're good. And actually, it's 20 years to today.
Hey, yep,
Yeah,
the release date.
because I kept seeing like stuff like, oh yeah, like 20 years ago, and I keep seeing like things on my Facebook feed. I'm like, have you been watching me? What are you doing? I need a like. Are you watching me in a panic room or whatever? But no, I don't like. Again, last night when I watched this, I did not remember this movie at all. Like, I don't remember what when I watched this one. I knew aspects of it. Like, I knew I'm like, all right, is this the part like I kind of had an idea. I'm like, all right, is this the part where the like guy's gonna get his hand stuck in the panic room, or the door's gonna clench? Like, is he gonna lose an arm? And I was like, oh, it's only the hand. I'm like, ah, there we go. Like, I remember like bits and pieces of it. I just didn't remember the full like story of it, because I think like on my Blu-ray.com, where I keep track of all the stuff I've seen, said I added this in 2014, but it means I don't think I watched it like 2014. Might have been before then. I think I was just adding it to it because I forgot I've seen it. So it was interesting. And again, like I never really say this, but Kristen Stewart was decent in this movie. And again, this is before she became Twilight, but I thought she did a good job. Jodie Foster did a good job, and I totally forgot Jared Leto was in this movie because, oh yeah, that's right, because Jared Leto likes working with David Fincher, and he always like I think he was the Sean Bean before Sean Bean existed, where he dies in the most ridiculous ways possible. Where this one he just got shot, but it wasn't the most ridiculous. It's not like the Sean Bean death or the meme of himself. I'm like, how does Sean Bean die? Oh no, like, but yeah, I think but in the other stuff, Jared Leto dies in the most. Well, he just dies. So he's like the Sean Bean, but not the ridiculous Sean Bean deaths or whatever. But and then seen him with the corn roll, so I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of funny. And then, but no, I agree. This is definitely cat and mouse game, and I think sure some of it doesn't hold up, but I still think I mean, it's still intense. Like
The overall narrative of it and the story of it is really good.
I mean, especially if you're claustrophobic. I mean, you definitely feel that in that room, especially if like you have no air, there's no way out, there's no way to get that. I mean, like all those moments where when Jodie Foster gets out of the room, and like you're like, okay, is she gonna get the like, or especially when she's trying to get the phone and she knocks over the lamp, and we're like, oh crap, like again, and then it seems like it is. I don't know. I just kept getting a feeling it's like this is a more mature version of Home Alone, but without the traps. I because the three people in it, they're kind of idiots, except for the Forrest Whitaker. He seemed to be the only smart one out of the whole bunch. Jared was like, "Oh, I got my buddy Rule. He's cool. I found him. Yeah, we're good. This is all my plan." And then how they're screwing up like every single time, and it's like, and like how the thing they think works, but it doesn't. Again, I mean, it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get it from behind. I built the dang thing, like not listen to me. And then when they get to the side, they're like, oh, crap. So again, I don't know. I just got I had some Home Alone vibes in a sense. But yeah, I mean, again, I like David Fincher, but I think this is like some of his early work because once like the later stuff he does is some really good stuff, but it definitely has that David Fincher feel. It's. I mean, I think it's the parts of it still hold up, but
I think so too. Hey Rossi, how are you? But yeah, it definitely holds up. Like I said, maybe one or two scenes might not. But here's the thing, though. I like the idea of the character, Jodie Foster's character, even saying the same thing that she can't stay in a closed-in space for too long, or otherwise she feels like she's suffocating. And then it is like an introduction. It's like the panic room is a character of its own self, and we're being introduced in the same way that those characters are being introduced to this panic room. And so as soon as Kristen Stewart's character goes into that panic room, we're also panicking with Jodie Foster. Are they going to be able to get out of this panic room, even though they're actually in there just showing it to her, and everything? So, you have that claustrophobic feeling of, is this what's going to happen later on in this film? Especially when you have those robbers, home invaders that comes in and everything. Like I said, nothing goes according to plan. The only one that actually has some brains in him is Forrest Whitaker's character. And also, too, Forrest Whitaker character is also very redeemable, too, because he actually has a conscience and everything. He's thinking to himself, though, too, is this really worth my life for what I'm doing?
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know what, guys? They gave us a run for our money. We're going to go on ahead. I'm going to go on ahead and get out of here. And there's even that one part with the sledgehammer where Jodie Foster winds up hitting the one dude with a sledgehammer. That was very graphic. But here's the thing, though. I wish they would actually show how messed up his face was. They don't. It's like, okay, so is it like a rubber sledgehammer? What's the deal with that?
Yeah.
But still, I thought the movie was really good. I thought that it actually knew what it was. It knew its own identity. It was not a missing case of misidentification or anything. The action sequences were really good. The camera angles were really good. Because my favorite camera angle in this film is when the cops are coming in there to save the day, and then you see Forrest Whitaker's character going out the window. And you're thinking he's going to get away. Then all of a sudden, the cops come outside, and they wind up capturing him.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really good way of actually ending the film. But overall, it was a fantastic film. It's a great film. But I know that you wanted to talk about one last thing before we close out, though.
Yeah, I just want to say the popularity of this movie in pop culture is like pretty big because, well, I got two things. One was the MTV Movie Awards. If you're wondering, why am I bringing up MTV? Because actually back then, before, I think pre-Twilight, the MTV Movie Awards were actually really entertaining. They do the movie spoofs. They did all that kind of stuff. The spoof, I was like, I remember like watching like, wait a minute. Didn't they do one from the version of this in the MTV Movie Awards? And I'm like, yeah, it was. So it was back when 2002 or whatever when this
It
movie
was
came out.
2002.
Yeah, 2002. Yeah. It was Jack Black and Sarah Michelle Gellar are hosting, and they're about to do the next award, and they need Jodie Foster to come up and present. And she doesn't show up. So Jack's like, all right, like, you can find this on YouTube, but it's just as Jack Black has to like leave this set and to go find Jodie Foster, and he runs into his buddy Will Ferrell, and he goes, "Hey, what's going on? I need to find Jodie Foster. He needs to present." So him and Will Ferrell's like, "Oh man, I'm good friends with Jodie Foster. She lets me in her house like all the time. Let's just travel to her house right now and go." And then they show up at the house. They're wearing cornrows like Jared Leto, and they're doing stuff just to get her to come out. And they're showing like, and it blended so well with the scenes. Like they couldn't get in, and they're staring at the camera or whatever. Or when she's running in the panic room, the two of them are just downstairs, like heads popping up briefly or not. Then they're playing Starship. We Built This City. They're playing that song to the Will Ferrell farting into the panic room, like the scene where the propane tank, Will Ferrell farts into it, and she lights the fight on fire, and then they're like, okay, well, she's not coming. I'm gonna call somebody else. So again, it was back when the spoofs that were this hilarious. So again, watching it, seeing Will Ferrell and them like just trying to get Jodie Foster to come out of the panic room. It was really funny. The other one I just fought off was Family Guy made fun of this movie. The Griffin family get trapped in the panic room, and they're like, "Oh man, like we need to get Meg, crawl through the thing. We need to go down there." So she's like trying to make Peter a sandwich while the two intruders have invaded the house, and Meg's like, she's so desperate, she's hitting on the robbers. It's like, hey, you want to have your way with me or whatever. He's like, oh my god, no.
I remember that episode. Now that you're bringing that up, I remember that episode. It just goes to show you how popular this movie has reached pop culture at that time. This is before memes. This is before the dawn of the internet that we know.
Yes.
But it's just hysterical to revisit some of those old bits that we grew up with and everything too, and how much of a pop culture vibe that we had at that time, especially with Jack Black doing MTV Movie Awards with the Spider-Man bit and stuff like that too, and also too, of course, like you mentioned before, with Jodie Foster, with them trying to find Jodie Foster. But yeah, overall, this movie was fantastic. I really enjoyed this movie for what it is. I think that this film deserves a lot of credit than it really does. This movie's underrated. Nobody really talks about Panic Room anymore. So maybe you didn't see Panic Room. Maybe this is your first time hearing about Panic Room. Tell us what you think. If you did see Panic Room, tell us what you didn't like about Panic Room. Tell us in the comments below, because we're curious. Did you love this movie just as much as we did? And did you see this movie 20 years ago? And did you say, man, I feel old now because I'm actually rewinding back time and watching this movie all over again and going down memory lane with us? Tell us in the comments below. Also, to smash that like button. You know what? Do that little ring-a-ding-ding-ding-ding for us for the bell. Crack that bell. You know what to do. That's for your notifications. That's what you do here at Movie Lovers Unite. You smash that bell. Then, of course, tomorrow night we're going to have a little segment as well. I don't know exactly what we're going to do for the podcast just yet. But Thursday night, we're going to be doing our Moon Knight review of episode 1. That's going to be a pre-recorded show. It's just specifically just for the YouTube channel. It's going to be maybe about 10 minutes long, maybe that, or 15 or 20 minutes. So that's going to be just for the YouTube channel. And then, of course, later on, I'm also going to have Diego Silva on the show as later on that night for the podcast episode. And he has a little independent horror movie that's coming out that I can't wait to talk about. But that's everything that you can catch here at Movie Lovers Unite. If you want to, go on ahead, follow us underneath the same brand name on Movie Lovers, TV Lovers Unite on Facebook, underneath the same brand name on Instagram, and on Pinterest as well. If you want to donate to us, all you have to do is go to buymeacoffee.com/movie lovers. Then, of course, go on ahead and rate us on Spotify and also on Good Pods and also on Apple Podcasts. And that's how everybody else can go ahead and find us and follow us and all that other good stuff over there. And then if you want to, go on and follow us on TikTok at Movie Lovers Unit 0 and on Twitter as well as Movie Lovers Unit. And if you want to sponsor it, would like to be on the show, just reach out to me at movieloversunite@gmail.com. And always, until next time, thank you, Charlie, for joining me for this Movie Lovers edition of Rewind. Every Tuesday or Thursday, we're going to be doing Movie Lovers Rewind. So it's just that with Moon Knight coming out, we're not going to do a movie lovers rewind on Thursdays, but it's just going to be on Tuesdays instead for right now. But always until next time, guys, it's been real. It's been fun. I can't wait to do this again. And bye-bye.